Welcome everyone to another episode of RadsCast. It's been a while, but we're back. It's just me and Woods today because Bray's lazy. He decided to not bother. Can you believe that? He'll be back in the next one most likely. But today, I was going to do this at the end of the season, but it kind of makes sense to do it now because there's only a couple of games left really. We're going to go for the entire Forest squad, basically deciding who we should sell and who we should keep. There's plenty of players that we should probably be getting rid of really, but there's lots of players that we really do need to hold on to, of course. So by all means, let us know in the comments below what you think should happen, who you get rid of and who you keep. So yeah, we're now going to take a look at what we think should happen. So these are the categories we're working with. Keep at all costs. That kind of says it already, doesn't it? Players like Wall, for example. Hold on to them, so it's not absolutely crucial keep hold of them, but they'll be useful if we kept them. Loan out, on the ropes, and get out. Players like Gaetang Bong, really, should be in that category. So, yeah, let's just get on with it, really. We'll start. It's a completely random order of players. I don't know why it's in this order. But we'll start with Diallo, our third choice goalie, who's literally never played a game for us. I think he's been on the bench once. What are we thinking here, Woods?
Personally, it's hard to say because obviously he's not played for us at all.
On the ropes?
Perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say because, as I've said, we haven't played him at all. I think keep hold of just for the squad depth.
I go with that. Hold on to it.
We don't know what's going to happen because we could, I don't know if it, I hope we don't, but we could sell off Samba.
Yeah.
Then we'd only have Jordan Smith and that Shelby.
So, yeah, I don't know why I was thinking get rid because literally we'd never played him. He might actually be useful if he had to play for us one day. So maybe just keep hold of him. So onto a lone player now. And this is a bit of a very mixed opinion, this player, really. Anthony Knockaert. What are we thinking?
He's had his good games. I know some Forest fans like him. I think it's going to be controversial, but I would most likely say don't keep him.
I honestly agree.
Yeah. Genuinely, because I don't think he's worth what Fulham are asking for him. And I think his wages will be stupid.
I think 100%. I think based off what we expected from Knockaert and what he's actually done, I don't think it's financially, I don't think it's worth it. And like we say, he's had his moments. He has had times where he has looked genuinely good. He always puts in a shift.
I think the main one you can look at is him versus Derby, where he came on and it changed the game.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he has scored a few goals for us, but I think we all expected a bit more from him, really, didn't we, when Knockaert came in. Honestly, it sounds a bit harsh, I suppose, but especially because he's a lone player. I think if it was ours, I probably would say keep. But because he's a lone player, I think we should just let him go back to Fulham or wherever he goes on to. Yeah. So that might be a bit controversial to some people, but that's the whole point in this video. You can have your say. Yeah. So this one, Cyrus Christie. I'm not going to lie. All season I've been saying get rid because I just didn't rate him. I thought he was incredibly average. But he is starting to prove us all wrong, really, isn't he, at the moment?
Yeah.
So what would you say right now, anyway?
He's improved massively. I know he does want to come to Forest permanently, and he is out of contract. But it's the thing is, if Hughton thinks he's done enough to earn the move, I'd personally say yes.
Yeah.
But there's also no as well.
It's 50-50, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think if we were doing this even a few weeks ago, I would have said get rid. But I think I'd say hold on to him, quite frankly. I think that's about right. I don't think the top tier's quite... I think it's a little bit extreme. I would say keep hold, because I think either way we should sign a new right back, really. Yeah. I know we have Lawrence Gabriel, who's also on this list, because we've included loan players who are out on loan this season, because they'll be with us next season potentially. Now this player, I forgot he played for us, quite frankly. Michael Heffela. I think it's kind of obvious, really.
I'd say just get rid, to be honest.
Yeah. I feel sorry for him, quite frankly. Like he's not played this for us like 2 years, hasn't he? Something ridiculous. He was decent in his day for us, I suppose, but yeah, he's not really got a future at all, has he? But
no, I mean he's what, like 30 now, maybe.
About that.
Yeah.
So this next one is a player that probably gets the most stick out of the entire team, but I rate him, quite frankly. Ryan Yates.
Yeah, I'd say keep hold of him.
Agreed. Yeah,
because I think once Garner goes, because I'd love to see him stay, but I doubt we will keep him.
100%.
I think Yates will be able to do his job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously we've got Cafu, and he's the passing. He's like part of Garner, like he can pass. Yates is that more bulky guy who will stop counterattacks, and he gives 110% every game. That's
one thing you can't fault him on, Ryan Yates. And he pops up occasionally with the odd goal. And I know a lot of people often say, what does he actually do? I just think he's a useful player to have around, I don't really see him leaving either, regardless of how the season's gone. I haven't seen any rumours, and I don't see, he's not like he's the best player in the squad or the worst. He's just like a player that seems quite settled at Forest. And, he's also from our academy as well. He clearly loves playing for Forest, so I don't see him leaving either, quite frankly. So I think that's about right for Ryan Yates. But this man, he was a very, very key player for us last season, but his legs are made of ice. Sambasau. Yeah. What are we thinking?
I think he's on the ropes, really, for me.
I'd agree.
He is way too injury prone, and we've had a lot of injuries this season, but he seems to have like 1 or 2 good games, then he gets injured, and then he gets yellow carded when he comes back, and then he gets injured again.
I mean, what is he? He's like 32. Maybe we've about time to move him on. I mean, he's been with us 2 years. He was very good for us last season. I think a lot of people said he like made things work in the midfield for us. And if we go on, mate.
I remember correctly, it was something like we had like a 36% win rate with him, and then like 25 without, or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that actually. Yeah, we had a really good record now as Sambasar played. But yeah, anyway, moving on. We're going to do this based off what we want to happen, but it is not realistic. But James Garner has to be the top tier, doesn't it? Top tier.
I think the only reason why I think he would stay is if we were guaranteed to push for promotion, or like the way he performed at Watford, because apparently he weren't that good at Watford.
No.
So
I don't get that. I don't know why Watford fans hated him so much.
I think if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer looks at it and goes, he performed well at lower league championship club Forest. He wasn't very good at higher tier Forest, at higher tier Watford. Should we let him go back to Forest for a season, progress as a player, and then bring him, like loan him to a lower tier Prem side the season after?
I never thought of that, to be fair, because a lot of people are saying like he should go to a low tier Premier League side next season, but he didn't do very well with a top Championship side literally this season, and maybe that was just bad luck. But I think there's a good chance that Forest could be like maybe not as good as Watford are right now, but close to Watford's kind of position next season if we make the right signings and stuff, because we are heading in the right direction again. But I mean, he seems to be enjoying himself at Forest, but ultimately it's down to Man United, really. But yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic. I cannot think of a weakness he's really put wrong at all. Now, this next one, Yuri Ribeiro. He's a player that's linked with leaving, which I do not understand at all. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on Ribeiro?
Obviously, we all love Ribeiro. If it does come down to it, and we are intending to sell him, I'd rather us sell him for money than just let him go for free.
Exactly.
Let him. If obviously, I'd love for him to stay because he's one of our best left backs at the club.
Yeah.
But I think like Blackett's been performing well recently.
Yeah.
Bong is Bong. He had 2 good games and then a couple bad games. I think while he was at Brighton, he performed well, Bong. But we're not going on that Bong at the moment. Ribeiro is obviously our best left back at the club. I'd love for him to stay.
100%. He has to be in the top tier. Onto a player that's not actually with us currently, but he will all but certainly be next season. Brennan Johnson.
Yes.
Been fantastic for Lincoln City, of course, in League One.
Yeah.
And I definitely think we should be keeping hold of him.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably, keep at all costs, to be honest. Would you make of Johnson?
I would obviously love to see him start at the club. If he's starting, he'll probably be out on the left. It's going to be one of them things where it's like, do we drop someone like Myton?
I don't see him. Is if we keep Gravinovic, then we have like Myton and like a fully fit Lolly and Amiobi, even if we keep hold of him because he's out of contract too. I don't see Johnson starting, to be honest. I mean, like he's a fantastic option to have off the bench based off how he's been this season. And when he was with us before, he had quite a few good games. He didn't play much. I know he started a couple towards at post lockdown. I think he played against like in that Huddersfield and Sheffield Wednesday game. I'm pretty sure he played in them. So yeah, moving on to the main man, big man Brice Samba. Would you like a Big Mac, Brice? I think it's just kind of obvious, really, isn't it? This one, it kind of has to be.
He's got 12 clean sheets this season. It's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, every goalkeeper has their bad droughts, which he had, unfortunately, at the start of the season.
Everyone did, really, didn't they?
Yeah. So I think it's clear and obvious we should keep him.
I don't see Samba leaving. It's a bit like Yates. I don't really see players like that leaving, really. So I think he probably is safe to be one of our players next season, really. Now, this is another one that this guy has got a huge amount of stick this season. Mr. Lewis Gravin.
Yeah.
Now, kind of silenced the haters a little bit, really, didn't he, against QPR with that quality goal. But I personally am a Gravin out because I don't feel he's at it anymore, or consistently enough, probably is the better word. What do you? I think I know your answer, really. But what's your take on Gravin?
Well, he's not captain material. So I don't know why he has the captain's armband. I know captaincy doesn't really depend on the armband, but it has that like the mentality of the players where it's like if they're the captain of the club, they're trying to see they've been tasked with the job of like making sure everyone's doing their job, and I feel like Gravin, unfortunately, he isn't concentrating on scoring goals as much as he would be if he wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's weighed heavily on his performances on the pitch. When he's come off the bench as well, he's been given the captain's armband straight away. It should have gone to arguably Mckenna and Worrell, one of them two.
So that's the thing I don't understand. Like, you only really like change your captain midway through the game if the captain goes off, not if the captain comes on. So I don't understand that. Like, I think he wants to be at Forest because like he has seemingly been very happy at times, but there's also been moments where he just doesn't look bothered. So a player like that, I just don't think that says it all. It just shouldn't be the captain. And players like Wall, you know for sure that they will give like their absolute best every game. Plus, regardless of how Gavin's been this season, I don't think a striker should be the captain, regardless of who it is. So where would you put him on the tier list?
On the ropes, but only because of his performances this season. If we're going through past seasons, keep 100%.
That's fair enough.
This season, obviously with the captaincy, he's been very, very shaky.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like if that goal the other day, if that's gonna kickstart some form again, then yeah, keep. But regardless of his age and the fact he's captain, you know, if we can get the old Lewis Gavin back, and I know he's getting older all the time, but he still clearly has it in him because that goal was a very, very well taken goal, and he doesn't score many long range goals either. And this is the thing. Like even last season, and as long as I've known Lewis Gavin, he scores goals, but he also misses a lot of sitters. Even last season, he missed a sitter. That Leeds chance that he missed in that Leeds game. Yeah. That should have been a goal, but he also scored 20 plus goals last season. So
yeah, if I remember correctly, he was obviously one of the top goal scorers, but he was also one of the top goal missers. He was just he was only 200 behind Patrick Bamford.
This is the thing, isn't it? He must have the most shots in the league because so many of them go in, but so many of them don't as well. But this season, for whatever reason, considerably more haven't gone in. Hence why he's only got 4 goals all year when he had 22 last season. It's a considerable drop off. Not quite as bad as Diallo, but it's similar. Fal Bashiri, or however you say his name, he's hardly kicked a ball really, has he? What do you make of him, if he can say anything?
I'd still hold on to him because it's the same as the other CDMs. We need squad depth because it's all right having these fantastic players that will perform week in, week out. They get injured, who's going to come in to replace them?
Yeah, that's the thing. Literally, I took out midfielders earlier. I completely forgot about Bashir because he just doesn't play. As of right now, based off players that are going to leave, contracts running out or whatever, we'll have Yates, Cafu, Bashiru, Colback, players like that, which really isn't good enough, really, especially the backup. So maybe keep hold of Bashiru just for depth. We'll need to sign one next season, really, a midfielder. So yeah, I agree with you. For depth, I think probably keep hold of him. I was considering loan out, but maybe just for depth, keep hold of him. That's what I'll go with. So this is one that we feel quite strongly about, really. João Carvalho. Quite a mixed opinion on him, really, for a lot of Forest fans. A lot of them say he's brilliant. A lot say he's not. I know what you're going to say, but what do you make of João Carvalho?
Underwhelming. Personally, not what I would not have paid as much as it. I don't know how much we actually did pay because there's reports that there was about 13 million and there was some that was 8.
Yeah,
I still know we still owe money to Benfica for him. So
it's weird, He's had his moments. Everyone mentions that Middlesbrough game a few years ago, but he hasn't done it enough. For 13 million quid, which is an awful lot of money for a championship club to sign a player. We expected records to be broken, really. That kind of money being doshed about, it just hasn't happened for him enough, really. And he's not even done that well at Almere, has he? So
he's got. I haven't checked his recent stats in the recent games. He might have got a goal, he might have got an assist, but I last looked at him. He had 3 assists out of a lot of league starts. That I'm just gonna put that there. That should say it all. I respect Carvalha because he is a good player on his day, but on them days also he stands around and waits for the ball to come for him, like to come go to him, and that just isn't the mentality I would personally want to see. He loses the ball, he stands there, comes short for a player when we've got the ball, and then runs up the pitch again.
Yeah, literally.
I would say on the ropes, but I don't think he's been anywhere near the money that we paid for him.
Yeah.
And if we still owe Benfica the money that we do, it's gonna be we need the money to pay that, because we can't have that over our shoulder the whole time. Like, oh, we still owe that such and such money.
Yeah. This is the thing. Like, a lot of people said before he was loaned out, oh, it just doesn't suit the English league. It'll suit the Spanish league, Portuguese league, whatever, better. But his stats don't back that up at all. So, whatever reason, he still hasn't performed in a league that was allegedly better for him. He still hasn't worked out. So there's clearly something else that's preventing him from performing. So I personally think we can do better than him. And that's why we put him in that tier. But this one is an absolute must, really, isn't it? Mr. Joe Wall has to be at the absolute top of that list. What can we say about Joe Wall? It's just fantastic.
Personally, I think here's the thing. I've said it multiple times. Worrell has got a tough decision to make, because if a Premier League club does come knocking, it's going to be hard for Worrell and Forest, as a collective, to agree whether or not to go, because he's been with our academy for years now.
Yep.
He's been our standout player this entire season, and you can see why clubs want to come and buy him. It's tough for Worrell because he's a Forest fan. He's basically the captain of the club.
I don't care that Gravin's not got Gravin's got the armband, but Wall will still act like a captain,
Personally, keep 100%. He shouldn't go. I don't think at all. If we get promoted, I'd love for him to be the main stage of that.
I'd absolutely love that. Yeah. Joe Wall, Forest captain in the Premier League, sounds good. But this is the thing, if this season had been a much better year and we've been challenging again, even if we didn't get promoted, then I think it probably would stay still. And I know that, yes, okay, we may have not gone up again. You saw players like at Brentford, Watkins, they were on the absolute brink of going up, but he still left. So it's a tough decision. Even maybe if we had just missed out, he probably would have left. So it's a difficult one, really. I think the fact we've massively underachieved based off last season, it's going to make his decision easier in ways, because, we've not had a good year, but we're ending it seemingly very well. And it appears that good times are starting to come back, because, we've had a massive off year, really, haven't we? It's been a dreadful off year. And I just hope Wall goes off the emotional side of things and stays with Forest. I want him to stay just at least another year, just have one more go with us and try and get us up. And then if he fails, then maybe, let's let him go. But at all costs, we have to keep Joe Wall. And I think it would actually hurt more than cash if Wall leaves, to be honest. But this is a player that I wouldn't care at all if he did leave. Carl Jenkinson. What do you make of him? Because just average, in my opinion.
He was good when he first came in. I remember, apparently his debut, he was fantastic. Then he got injured. He came back, and then he was just mediocre. He barely played. He played against Chelsea, and obviously we know what happened with Chelsea. The VAR stuff happened.
Yeah. It's a difficult one, really, because like I think that when he signed, he was going to be like our main right back, competing with Rinkwa, but then sadly decided to make Cash a right back, and it kind of just completely threw out Rinkwa and Jenkinson, and Cash just made that position his own, staple of it. He's the definition of a bench warmer, really, and he's not even been on the bench recently. So maybe for the good of his career, move him on. But then again, you could say for squad depth, keep hold of him. So maybe on the ropes is about right.
Yeah.
I'll probably go with that. So another right back now on loan at Blackpool this season. I know that Blackpool fans have spoken incredibly highly of this player, Jordan Lawrence Gabriel. He played a couple of games at the start of the year, was decent. One of the few decent things about the start of this season. I think he played about 1 or 2 games last season as well, not the Cups. But what do you make of Gabriel?
If he's as good as what Blackpool fans say, he should be good for us. Yeah, he came through the academy, same as Worrell and Yates.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't see why not. We should just keep hold of him.
Man, I'd love to see Gabriel do what Yates and Worrell and them lot have done.
Turn into the next Ash or something.
Yeah, he just becomes like a staple of the first team. That would be really good to see. Now, this is a player that, a lot of the next couple of players coming up, I think are all kind of in the same kind of category. Harry Arter, not been the player we expected him to be. And yeah, there was that whole thing where he told Dan Gosling not to join Forest. And I think that says it all, really, doesn't it?
I'm not going to say anything about him, just GOM.
GOM. Fair play. Get out, mate. Get out. Another one, this very average players, these next couple. Luke Freeman. Again, not done much at all. He's doesn't really do much, literally, like I just said. He scored that goal against Bristol, but other than that, that's about it. I'd personally let him go back to Sheffield.
It was a very impressive goal versus Bristol, but...
Yeah, true. Can't take that away from him, but I'd let him go back to Sheffield and warm their bench, to be honest. Didn't work out. That's probably sums up this season, really. A lot of the players we signed haven't worked out, and we signed too many. But we've already been down that road more than enough times. Jack Colback, not the player that he was before.
Yeah, on the ropes.
On the ropes. To be quite honest, I'd probably say get out. But again, maybe if we're talking squad depth, just keep hold of him. That's the only argument I'd say to keep, put him in on the ropes. So I do get that, but he just hasn't been the player he was before. I think maybe having basically an entire year out from football didn't really help him. But yeah, it's just not really worked out for him. Now we have 3 players there that we don't rate at all, but we definitely rate these next couple. Scott Mckenna.
Ah, yes.
Scott Mckenna.
Keep on it on all times. He's been, when Worrell isn't playing, he's been the main man.
Absolutely. Yep.
So you have to keep hold of him, because especially like in recent times, Worrell have performed very well. And obviously he's been injured for a large majority of the season.
He's like a second version of Joe Wall. So if we do lose Wall, it'll be a massive impact, but we will still have Mckenna. And literally the next player on this list, MB hopefully will get a chance. And we will have to sign a centre-back to replace Wall if he does go. But McKenna's been fantastic whenever he has played. Him and Wall have looked a really solid partnership.
If we do keep Worrell, I'd say loan Embiso out. But if we do sell Worrell, he should be starting. So it's all about how the transfer window goes, my thing.
So are we saying Embiso loan out or hold on to? What we talking about? loan out. Yeah, the next player. Honestly, I think we should keep hold of this guy because I'd have faith in him to be, if we do keep Yuri, to be at least an option. Nicholas
Yeah,
Ioanu. I'd
I'd
hold.
say
Yeah,
if we are getting rid of Yuri, keep him.
yeah. Would you say hold on?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Well, honestly, even if we keep Yuri, I'll keep Ioanu because if we have Yuri and Ioanu as left backs, that's suddenly a really solid set of left backs. And it's just a shame the players that we don't rate in Blackett and Bong in particular look like the most likely to stay, which is frustrating to say the least. Will Swan, he's played like 2 games this season, I think. No, he made his debut against Swansea at home. Obviously, he's at Port Vale right now on loan. I don't really know how he's doing for them, to be honest. What would you say about Will Swanwoods?
Loan him out again.
I'd agree. He's clearly got a decent future ahead of him. I've not seen that huge amount of him individually, to be fair, but I think loan out is about right. So this one, my channel for some reason is obsessed with him, but Gaetang Bong.
If we're being realistic, he should be going.
Yeah, let's be honest. Come on, get out. He has the odd moment where he looks all right, but nowhere near enough. We say it all the time, but his debut against Charlton kind of says it all. I saw that game live too. Terrible. His last game he played against Brentford, he put in a decent block, I remember, to stop Brentford scoring. He didn't get the assist, but he put the ball into the area for our goal. Yeah. So, yeah, he has his moments, but we can do a hell of a lot better than Gaetang Bong. I don't care what anyone says. But this player, obviously, he was initially on loan this season, but now he's permanently with us. Cafu.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the few players who signed up from Olympiacos that's actually been decent. And he's proven me wrong because I wasn't a big fan of him at first at all. I don't really know why. I just didn't really think he did much. But yeah, he clearly seems to be enjoying himself now at Forest. And I'd hold on to him for sure, to be honest.
Yep.
You got anything individual to say about Cafu Woods?
I think just keeping hold of him, just because he has performed very well after we brought him.
I think he's a decent little option. I think he's going to get better. He's shown. Obviously, I'd never heard of him when we signed him. He was the player that we got in exchange for Silva, which is a bit of a strange one because obviously one's quite attacking, one's more defensive. So yeah, another player who's currently on loan, Kavinovic. He kind of splits opinion. I personally would definitely keep hold of him.
Yeah, I would keep hold of him because he has changed the way we play. I don't care about the goals and obviously it's a bit a bit of a hypocrisy, whatever it. By saying I don't care about the goals and assists, but like the way he's played, he's just unlocked our attack.
He makes things happen, doesn't he? Like he's got one goal, okay. He has maybe his numbers don't back up his game, but I think he's been good. He's had his moments, which have impressed me. And, I don't see him playing for Benfica. He was fantastic at West Brom last season. And this is the thing, we have a lot of good players in this team, which is why it makes it so frustrating that how we performed this season, really. On paper, we're probably a top 6 side, in my opinion, in terms of ability, which is why I think who knows what we'll do next season. But I would definitely keep hold of Kavinovic just because why not? He seems like he is enjoying himself as well. So yeah, another player. He hasn't really been the same Joe Lolly that he was before, but he has to stay.
He started performing well before in the game he got injured. He looked like his old self. He was getting into position to shoot. Everyone goes through the bad spells, and unfortunately, he hasn't come out of it. And then he started to come out of it, and then he got injured. So,
Literally, yeah. That's frustrating because that Reading game, he looked like he was really getting going again, and then he got injured, which is just how it always seems to be. He, it's a bit of a weird one with Lolly because he isn't like a wall. He hasn't come from our academy, but you can tell he loves the club, which is what you want to see. So I don't care how he's performed this season. He was proving before he got injured that he still has it more than enough in him. So yeah, Mr. Joe Lolly has to stay. Two more players left really. Lyle Taylor. This is one that does divide opinion. I really feel sorry for him. I think he should have been playing a hell of a lot more than he has done. What do you think about Lyle Taylor?
He's a good footballer. He definitely knows where the net is. And that's what we need at the moment. We need a footballer who knows where the net is. And
yep. No. You see, that's the frustrating thing. Like, he's been our top scorer all year, and yet he has been on the bench most of the year. That sums up the season, really, doesn't it? A player that can't even get in the team is our top scorer. And I personally think he will leave because I don't see why he'd run a bench for him when he still clearly has it in him. And he's a good guy, I like him as a person as well. He speaks very well whenever he's in an interview. I rate him higher than Gravin, still, regardless of that goal that Grab scored. I would hold on to him at least. I know a lot of people. I think a lot of people don't like Taylor, but I don't know how they can criticise him when he just hasn't had enough chances. In my opinion. But another striker who most likely will be leaving. He was only signed temporarily, Glenn Murray.
I mean, he was only on like the end of the season contract anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, he scored 2 goals for us against Wycombe, but the worst side in the league. Other than that, he's not really done much. And I think my criticism when we signed him probably is about fair, to be honest, because I wasn't happy when we signed him, 37. I get why we signed him because he knows, Chris Hughton. But we can be doing a lot better. And I'm pleased that it's only to the end of the season. At least we've got a bit of sense. So I'd personally say get out because he's going to be going anyway, really, isn't he? So now this one is the complete opposite. Alex Martin has to stay at all costs. Really pleased that he's been getting chances this season. I still think he should have been playing more, really, shouldn't he? He's had a lot of games where he's been on the bench and not even been in the side, which I don't get. But what's your take on Martin? I have a good idea what it's going to be.
Yeah, you pretty much know what it is. He's personally one of the best youngsters we have at the moment.
Absolutely.
I think the only thing about him is he's not physical. He's not got the strength. So he gets pushed off the ball quite a bit. But I think if he works on that, or if he works on a way to be able to take like the shoulder barge and then stay on his feet and keep the ball, I think the players you need to look at for one-on-one training is someone like a Robbie Earnshaw or an Andy Reid, because they were small players who could take the shoulder barge and still keep the ball.
He's a top player with a massive future ahead of him, but I have a horrible suspicion that we may let him go. I really, really hope we don't, because that would be incredibly annoying if we do. But hopefully it doesn't. So the next, apart from one or two, the rest of these players are kind of self-explanatory, really. Tyler Blackett. He may have looked decent recently, but I wouldn't keep him.
Hold on to him.
You would? Okay. I haven't really rated Tyler Blackett, but I think the last couple of games has proved that he just maybe keep hold of him for depth. If we are going to keep Blackett or Bong, I will pick Blackett. So I think for squad depth, I think you're right. Yeah. Hold on. Jordan Smith, I think another one would just hold on to, just if we don't have Sambo, who are we going to play, So I think he kind of has to be there. If you got anything to say about Jordan Smith?
No, not really. He's good on his day.
Michael Dawson, has he even played this season? I don't think he has. He's obviously been a great player in the past, but I think his time's up really, isn't it?
Actually, I'd keep hold on to Dawson because he's one of them players where it's like he's got the experience, so he can teach players like Loic and Basso, like in training, and he's also planning to get his. I think he's doing his coaching badges already.
I think if Dawson stays, I don't think it'll be as a player. I think he could be. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he stayed next season, but he was more of a manager. Well, not a manager, a coach. So maybe we're putting Dawson there as more of a coach than a player, if anything, or maybe just as more squad depth. So 3 players left. Nuno De Costa. I don't know how he's been performing in Belgium. I think he's been doing pretty good.
I think he's scored quite a few goals. I think at one point he scored 3 and 3.
Yeah.
Or something.
He hasn't done it for Forest, though, whenever he was with us for the second half of last year. I'm not a big fan of De Costa. He's I don't know. He's a decent player at times. Where would you say is fair to put him on this tier list, though?
Probably on the ropes.
Yeah, I think Get Out's a little bit harsh. So I think on the ropes is about right for De Costa.
Yeah.
So these two, Sammy Amiobi, contract is due to expire. I hope we keep hold of him because I know he's a very, very inconsistent player. Like he goes from being amazing, like he wins the entire game, to just being really poor. That's the same for a lot of these players. But Amiobi's, I think at previous clubs, he's a lot of fans have said that about him. So, I would keep hold of Amiobi at least for another year, just because he's a useful player to have. Maybe not starting next season, but I think he's kind of past that maybe next year to start. But I'd hold on to him. This is a funny one, Mr. Figueiredo. He's been very solid for us in the past, but he's been very average at times this season, really, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So I would probably say on the ropes for Figueiredo.
Yeah.
What would you say about Tobias Figueiredo?
He consistently makes the same mistakes, and it's getting annoying now because he puts in them stupid challenges, and then he puts in decent challenges, and he performs well one game, and then another game he's terrible. I personally would say get rid, but it's not a get out, mate, but just a wouldn't keep.
Yeah, this is get out, mate. It does sound a bit harsh. I mean, apart from mate being there, it's very harsh. I mean, maybe it's harsh on Knockout to be there, really, but I think it's the only place he can really go because, like, all these players here, they deserve to be here, really. I mean, a few of the on the ropes, I suppose you could argue that could be in Get Out as well, like maybe Colback and Figueiredo. I think for the few games that Figueiredo has looked decent, and to be fair, this is actually more of what we said about Gravin. Gravin, this is based off his past more than this season. Gravin and Figueiredo, particularly last year, were very good. This season, they've both really tailed off. So I think the only reason why they're not in Get Out is because of what we know they can do, on their day. So if it wasn't for that, then they would be a Get Out, in my opinion. So that's pretty much it, really, isn't it? That's our making. That's our take on every Forest player in the squad. What we'll do with them.
Yeah.
Would you? I mean, obviously you do because you've gone through me. But would you agree with that overall? Really,
Yeah.
Woods?
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, brilliant. Well, if you have enjoyed this podcast, everyone, by all means, please feel free to drop a like on the video. It would be hugely appreciated. Follow us both on Twitter, because that's where Woods is more active. He has a fantastic YouTube channel with one live stream on it.
Yeah.
So you can watch that if you want. But follow us on Twitter, of course, and subscribe to this channel. And there'll be another episode of RadsCast, probably with Bray, in a couple of weeks, probably. Let us know ideas as well, because we need them, quite frankly. And yeah, we'll both see you very soon. Up the Reds. Thank you for watching.